Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining me today. It's Allan Laboucan with the Rocks and Stocks News website. The PDAC unusually starts in June this year. Normally it's in March, but due to COVID restrictions and stuff like that, they switched the schedule to June. I think a lot of the attendees will be happy because they won't have that freezing cold of March in Toronto to deal with, and they can have a nicer visit to Toronto. And the PDAC is one of the largest investment mining conferences in the world. With all the various investor exchange booths to check out, all the speakers, or the core shack, it can be overwhelming for investors. And when I've been a speaker in the past, or had a booth at the conference with some of the companies I've consulted with in the past, I've kind of mapped my way around prior to going. I won't be attending this year's PDAC, but I wanted to give you a guided tour of some of the companies that I'm well aware of that will be attending. And so we're going to get started right away with I-80 Gold. I-80 Gold is on a tremendous growth path going forward. It reminds me a lot of the early days of Barrick Gold, American Barrick at the time. They kind of grew themselves from a junior into what is now a household name in the business with Barrick Gold. And I-80 Gold is following a similar path. They've got two, and this is a unique situation, they've got two world-class projects that they're exploring and developing at the same time. I can't remember ever in my career that I started in 1993 in the business of mining that I've seen a company with two projects like this. Granite Creek and their Ruby Hills project are both in Nevada. They're a Nevada-focused company. And I'd invite you to check out their booth at the conference and check out, if you can, see Ewan Downey at the booth. I'd highly recommend you talk to Ewan. I'm sure that they're going to have some core there from their Granite Creek and their Ruby Deeps discovery. I'm excited about both of these projects. Granite Creek has seen more drilling and more results out, and we're seeing some really exciting things develop with that project. They've got their known zone, which has saw past mining. They've drilled outside the underground workings, and they found continuity of the high grade beyond the underground workings in close proximity to those underground workings. Then they have a gap zone that is now filling in quite nicely and continuing that high grade. And then they've got their South Pacific zone, which is at depth seems to expand that known, those two zones, and it seems to be getting wider. I think if you look from side to side along strike, they're now at about over 600 meters of strike. And it seems to be, as they're getting deeper, they're getting along that panel higher grade, and it looks like it can have the ability to get wider and deep, higher grade as they go deep. So I've always thought Granite Creek on its own could be a company maker, but then a few weeks ago, they came up with some spectacular results from their Ruby Deeps project at Ruby Hill that is going to rival Granite Creek, and it could jump into the #1 project for them. Why I say that is they hit thick intersections, 70 meters of high-grade gold, and they hit that high grade and thick intersections over the 4 holes that they've drilled. But the last time I spoke with Ewan, he made reference to another zone that they're drilling on that project that I got the feeling that he thinks that this could be another barn burner, just like the Ruby Deeps. I think Ruby Deeps could become one of the most important new discoveries in Nevada in a long time. And I think this could rival their Granite Creek project as a company making asset. But I'd also invite you to check out their other projects, including their mining infrastructure, their mining facilities that they bought recently. And that is going to be their pipeline to making the Lassonde curve from discovery to production very narrow for both Granite Creek and Ruby Deeps and the Ruby Hill project. So they've got a great business plan ahead of them with their mining operations. They've got great projects with Granite Creek, Ruby Deeps, and their other projects in Nevada. And this is why I think that they're a multi-billion-dollar company in the making, currently trading with a $700 million valuation. And I don't think that there's a lot of risk in them becoming succeeding with that business plan. And so I'd highly recommend you check out I-80 at the PDAC. I'd also invite you to go to my YouTube channel at Rocks and Stocks News and check out the several interviews that I've had with I-80. And Ewan has been very kind with his time and also to be a sponsor of my website. And I think that that's a good way for you to do your homework on I-80. The next company I'm going to talk about is another company that I've done interviews with and have followed their project for many years, which is Candente. Candente has a top 10 in both size and grade undeveloped copper project that I think will become a mine, and I think it will be owned by a bigger company. They currently have a very modest valuation considering how bullish things are for copper projects and ones that can become future mines, which is much needed in the industry. The pipeline of new projects that can become new mines in copper the cupboard is bare. And I think this is a takeover target of the future. They only have a $41.8 million valuation. They are a sponsor of my website. I advise you to go check out their booth. Joey Fries is a great presenter. Tell her I said hello. Check out that company. But also, they also have another company that Joey runs, which is called Galantas Gold. XGC is their stock symbol. And, ask Joey about XGC as well, because I think this is an undiscovered gem in the gold stories out there for exploration. They're in Mexico. They have a vein that has seen past production of 8 million ounces of gold. They're going to be drilling that in the not too distant future. And they still have a very modest valuation, especially for a project that has seen that kind of production. Current valuation is only $14.7 million. Go check out XGC, go and DMT. When you check out the Candente booth, ask Joey about both of those companies. Another company that will be there is Endurance Gold. I think Endurance Gold might have one of the most impressive new discoveries of orogenic gold systems. And not only have they hit a bunch of holes with high-grade gold near surface, they've sort of been following the strike or the somewhat, well, it's got a slight dip to it. But in these orogenic systems, they go down, and they're using their current drilling to assess how to attack this thing at depth. I think they've got themselves on a Fosterville lookalike, and Fosterville was a company maker for Kirkland Lake, and I think these guys are onto something very special. Yet they still only have a $54 million valuation, which for me is ludicrously cheap, considering what they've already shown with the drill results and the potential to find more. They have a bunch of holes that are pending, that are sitting in the lab waiting for those results to come back. They have lots of geochemical indicators that those results should come back with promising grades. And I think the vertical extent of this project is tremendously exciting. I think they've got the potential to find several jewelry boxes, super high grade, super high margin type discoveries. It's also got going for it. It's got road access, great infrastructure. It's in British Columbia. It's near where there's been past production in a similar kind of setting. So Endurance Gold has a lot going for it. I've done several interviews with Robert Boyd in the past. I expect to be doing more. They are a sponsor of my website. You can find our past interviews on my YouTube channel at Endurance Gold, or look up Rocks and Stocks News, and then you'll look at all the videos and you can find the interviews that I've done with Robert. I think they've got something very special in the making here. Others are starting to recognize it as such. We started covering it when it was under 20 cents, so it's already been a double. But I didn't pick this because I think it could be a double. I think that this can be multiples of its current valuation. And I encourage you to check out Endurance. Galantas Gold will also be at the conference, and I'm very bullish on Galantas Gold. They are a sponsor of the website. Again, Rocks and Stocks News on YouTube for interviews that I've done with Mario Stefano. Mario, this isn't his first rodeo. He's done this in the past, had big success in the past, and I think he's going to do it again. And what really excites me is that this month of June, they're expecting to bring their OMA project back into production. It has seen historical production, and I think they drilled beyond the known zones, and they've hit a bunch of high grade with great continuity, great predictability. They can see what the geology looks like at depth from the past underground workings. I think that this company can grow from production as well as with the drill rig. I'm really optimistic about what they're finding there. This is another orogenic system. It has the same fault that Newfound Gold has in Newfoundland, and this has a lot of potential. It's another one that could be a Fosterville lookalike. It's important to note that at Fosterville, they mined there for 20 years before they found their super high grade Swan Zone that, was a cash machine for Kirkland Lake and drove them to be one of the best performing gold producers. And I think these guys are following a similar type path. In fact, they have the guy that ran Kirkland Lake on as an advisor. So I don't think it's a mystery why he's involved. I think he sees the same kind of geological potential. And I like what I see with Galantas. I like that they don't have a lot of stock out. 83 million shares, currently trading at a $41 million valuation. I think this is another one that's super cheap that you really want to check out at the PDAC. Go see Mario and his team. Let them tell you about what they're doing. Let them show you some rock. And I think that you'll understand quickly why this one has the potential to be a multi-bagger as well. The next company I'm going to talk about is P2 Gold. This is another group that's not their first rodeo. These guys were come from a big mining company. Then they found and built the mine at Pretium, which has been taken over. And I think they're trying to do it again. Check them out. They've got a great project down in Nevada that looks like it could be a company or a money maker for them that helps them with their growth path. The real exploration excitement for me is that they're about to start drilling on their project in the Golden Triangle of British Columbia. This is where they had success with Pretium, and I think that they have the potential to do that again. P2 Gold, their stock symbol is PGLD, and they also have a very modest valuation of 42 million. If these guys can show what I think they will with their project in the Golden Triangle, I think this one can be a huge winner as well. They're also a sponsor of the website. I've done several interviews with Joe Ovsenik and his partner, Ken McNaughton. In fact, I'm planning to do one in the next couple of days because they had a couple important news releases out. One was that they announced the closing of a financing. Second was that they did a project update on their new drilling that's about to start on their project in the Golden Triangle. So in a couple of days, I'll have an interview together with them. We're going to try to do it so I can release it during the PDAC. But I got a lot of good things to say about what they're doing in Nevada and in the Golden Triangle. But I'll let the sort of the horse's mouth speak about this here in the next couple of days. So stay tuned for that and check them out at the Prospectors and Developers Conference. True Precious Metals is also going to be at the Prospectors and Developers Conference. They're another company that sponsored my website. And I've done a bunch of interviews with their key people. And I think they've got a diamond in the rough of what they're doing out there in Newfoundland. And Barry Green, I'm sure, I don't know for sure if he's going to be there, but if he is, Barry Green is a very experienced geologist. He knows what he's doing. He's been in Newfoundland for a long time. And they're prepping to get ready to start drilling again. I think they'll be able to show you some nice drill cores and some nice geophysical maps. And I invite you to hook up with Barry Green or whoever else is representing the company at the conference. This is an $8.2 million valuation company that I think can deliver some spectacular things with the drill rig and see a much higher valuation in the not too distant future. They will be getting ready to drill again soon. And so stay tuned for that. Check out them on my web or at my YouTube channel. Done a bunch of interviews with them. I really like what they're doing. I think this one offers the hit it out of the park home run kind of potential for investors. And I invite you to check them out at the PDAC as well. So the last of my sponsors that will be at this conference, and is by no means the least, is Sokoman Minerals. Sokoman is also run by a really smart geologist in Tim Froud. I've done a bunch of interviews with them as well. They've got a $65 million valuation. They're also looking for an orogenic gold system, but they've also got some potential on their other projects. One in particular is a lithium project that I think is not showing any value in the current valuation. And I think they can deliver with both their Moosehead project, which is high-grade gold, and also their lithium project. Tim will be at the conference, and I really highly advise you to check them out and speak with Tim, because Tim's a salt of the earth kind of guy, real rock guy, real geologist kind of guy. I always enjoy the interviews that I have with Tim because they've got great projects and a good guy running it. And I invite you to go check out Sokoman at the PDAC and also at my YouTube channel, where I've done a bunch of interviews with Tim. And again, that's at YouTube. You look for Rocks and Stocks News. All right. So that's all the sponsors that are going to be at the conference. But there's other companies there that have, in one case, has been a past sponsor. And the others, I've also done interviews with people in the past. Amex Exploration is a past sponsor of my website. They're no longer, but I'm very bullish on this company. They can be a bit of a confounding story, because I think that this company should already have a $500 million to $1 billion valuation, yet they're sitting here at a $221 million valuation. What they've got going for them is at their Denise zone, they have an open pit target with exceptional grade for that kind of a target. In these kind of targets these days, a lot of these bulk tonnage projects generally are looking at about a 0.5 gram. These guys are at over 1 gram on their Denise zone. I'm very optimistic about the near-term production potential of that project. But then right beside Denise is their high-grade zone. And what it makes this high-grade zone really special is the tremendous continuity of their high grade from surface all the way down to 1,000 meters. If you go to their website and look at their corporate presentation, you can see the model of what they're looking at in the high-grade zone. And what also makes it tremendously exciting is that they can access that underground or that high-grade target through as they build out and start producing from their Denise zone. So that's a tremendous 1-2 punch. Also on their project, they have the potential to find more of these high-grade zones. These are orogenic systems. They go very deep, and they tend to have more than one around them. And I get the feeling that they think that they can find more of these high-grade zones. And that's not pie in the sky. They've had some drilling on these outside targets that suggests that there's more of these high-grade zones. In addition to that, originally this was an area that was highly prospective for VMS deposits, and they've found a high-grade VMS deposit near on the property as well, and those tend to come in clusters. So with this multitude of projects and targets and known zones, this is why I think that a $0.5 to $1 billion valuation is in the cards for them. And I'm kind of surprised that they aren't already over a $500 million valuation. But that's what happens sometimes with these juniors, is they don't get appreciated properly for what they have, but that creates a tremendous opportunity for investors. And I think Amex is one for you to check out. Kelly Malcolm is a very experienced geologist and a tremendously good presenter of projects. And I think you should check Amex Exploration out at the PDAC and go talk to Kelly Malcolm at the booth, and also for more interviews or to do more homework, you can check out the interviews. I've done a bunch of interviews with Amex. I mean, I started covering this company when they were a 50-cent stock. They've already been over 30 cents or $3. And I think they're going to go well over that in the future. So check out Amex at the conference. Next up is Kenorland. Kenorland is a prospect generator company that I've interviewed in the past, and I expect to be interviewing them in the future. They follow that prospect generator model, and so they bring in partners, and one of their partners, Sumitomo, and them have made an exceptional discovery at the Frotette project. This is a vein system that's hitting a lot of high grade. They're carried, so they don't have to, issue a bunch of stock to keep their, I think it's 25 or 30% interest. Go get those details from Zach Flood at the conference, and have him explain to you why this Frotette project is a very exciting project, and ask him about their other projects, because they have a pipeline of other projects as well that look quite exceptional. This company's been flatlining since last summer at around the 70-cent level, but I think they've got a tremendous amount of catalysts in the chamber of the gun, if you will, and led by Frotette. But take a look at their other projects as well, and visit with Zach Flood. I've been meaning to get another interview with him, and it just hasn't worked out for the timing. But I will get him in for another interview, because I think that Kenorland stock is super cheap, $36 million valuation. And as I said, I think they've got the catalyst to really unlock a lot of shareholder value. So I'm going to speak with Zach Flood to talk to him about doing an interview. The next company that I want to talk about is Origen Royalties. I know this company very well because the guy that runs it, Patty Nickel, and I worked together for many years while we worked at one of the largest geological, at one time they were the largest geological consulting firm in British Columbia, in Vancouver. And Patty and I spent a lot of time working together. And in fact, I was talking to Patty a lot and offering him some input prior to him starting his his royalty company called Evrim. Evrim merged with another company to create Origen. And they're a bit of a unique royalty company because they follow the prospect generator model to then generate royalties. And one of those projects that they did that with was Ermitaño in Mexico, in the Sonora Valley. And that they have a 2% royalty on that. They optioned the project to First Majestic. First Majestic found the Ermitaño vein and brought it into production. And so now Origen has a 2% royalty on that Ermitaño, and Ermitaño is one of Origen's top producing mines. It's an moderate to low sulfidation epithermal vein, and it looks like the rumblings are that they've got two other blind veins that they found at Ermitaño as well that could be future mines that are high margin gold and silver mines that I'm sure Origen will be happy to hear more about that. Actually, First Majestic's at that conference as well. You might want to go and talk to First Majestic about their Ermitaño mine and bend their ear and see if you can get some information out about blind veins that they found at Ermitaño as well. So this brings up another topic, which is Origen recently bought from last week, a few days ago, has bought my company, Advanced Lithium, had a royalty on a project in Kenya. And so we sold that royalty to Origen, and we got 120,000 US dollars in cash, plus we got 100% interest in their Serape project. And Serape, Origen will keep a 1.5% royalty on that as part of the deal. And Serape is to the north of the Ermitaño mine. And in between Ermitaño and Serape is Silvercrest's Las Chispas. All of these have the common thing, which is they're all epithermal vein systems. In the case of Las Chispas and Ermitaño, you've got high-grade gold components of that as well, so gold and precious metals. And Serape has a over 5 kilometer long vein called the Serape vein, and then it's also got the Chiltepan vein as well, which the big vein, it runs northwest to southeast. It's only seen a few holes, I think about six or seven in total, and those were angled holes from two drill setup locations that only cover about 200 meters of a 5 kilometer long vein. It's important to note that in these epithermal veins, you can have zonation of grade along strike. They can be kind of wavy. And then you can also have it at depth as well. And so what our plan is at Advanced Lithium to explore the Serape vein is we'd like to do a fence of veins, maybe down 200 or 300 meters, to find the boiling zone or the top of the boiling zone along strike of this, and see if is zonation of grade. It's not an arm waving thing. That's what happens in these epithermal veins. And we think, and as well as Origen thinks, that this is a very underexplored vein, that big 5+ kilometer long vein, epithermal vein. And then the other vein, the 2 kilometer vein, Chiltepan, has only seen one hole. Both of these veins have seen past surface sampling that has shown anomalous gold at surface. And that's exactly what you want to see in these epithermal veins, because you want to show that, and this is what happened at Ermitaño, that you have the widespread mineralization at surface, and then you want to start drilling deeper, which is what they did at Ermitaño, and what led them to their success was to thoroughly examine these veins and to find the boiling zone of the vein, and then start targeting that boiling zone at depth. And this model is well known in Mexico. I live in Zacatecas, Mexico. Zacatecas, Mexico has been in production since the 1500s. It's home to some spectacular mines. To about 40 miles from me is the Fresnillo district. In the Fresnillo district is, of course, Fresnillo PLC, the lowest cost producer of silver in the world from epithermal vein clusters. And also Mag Silver's recently brought their mine into production. So I've been studying these epithermal vein systems for many years. And not only do I think that we can do some great things on the Serape vein and its cousin, the Chiltepan, but I think that there's potential to make blind vein discoveries. And in the case of Mag Silver, that's what their Juanicipio and Valdecañas veins are both blind veins. And the way that a good way to find blind veins is target the main vein. But then if you keep seeing alteration, keep going, because that can be a great way to find new veins. So that's what we're going to be doing at Serape, and that's why I think you should check out Origen. Say hello to Patty Nickel for me. Patty and I are good friends, and now I'm glad to be working with him again. It's been a number of years since we last worked together, but I'm very excited about Serape. I'm excited about what they have in Kenya as well, and their portfolio projects. So check them out at the PDAC as well. And the final company I'm going to talk about today is York. York, Y-O-R-K, York Harbor is the name of the company. I think they have the making of another Voisey's Bay, Diamond Fields Resources kind of success story. The stock's been trending up since it was 20 cents about 8 months ago, about 10 months ago. And it really got off to the races earlier this year. It was trading at around 55 cents. It ran up to $1.40 on the success that they had finding exceptionally high grade copper and other metals in their York Harbor project. I've interviewed them once. I mean to get them on for future interviews. I think they've got a huge success in the making. They only have a $49 million valuation. Diamond Fields Resources found high grade copper, copper, nickel, cobalt, and that drove them to be a $4 billion takeover. These guys are early stages, but I really like what they found so far. And I think that they're going to continue to deliver with the Truth Machine. They've recently are working on a financing to put a bunch of money in the bank and really crank things up with the drill rig. The company only has a $49 million valuation, so there's plenty of flesh left on that bone if they are even moderately successful like Diamond Fields Resources was, and I think they will be. So check them out. York Harbour Metals, Y-O-R-K is their symbol. I think they've got a lot of catalysts to make them into a $500 million or more valuation type of a company. And I think you should check them out at the PDAC as well. So there's my guided tour of the PDAC. I think if you don't have a tour planned for the PDAC, you can quickly get overwhelmed. So I recommend you check out the companies that I talked about today. And that's my guided tour of the PDAC. So if you're going, check out my guided tour and enjoy yourself and have a great day. And we'll talk to you soon.